John Higby gave me a huge 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon and sponsors today's video. Gishath vs Xiatora, Eriat and Avacyn. A one-lander's a good start. Into another one-lander, awesome. So down a card we go into yet another one-lander, but at least we've got Sol Ring here. We'll just have to... I shouldn't even keep this one, but we'll just try it. Do draw on our first turn at least into a runic armor saw, won't do as much good on the mana front. So we'll just have to see if we manage to keep hold of a Sol Ring. If we get into a land next turn, at least we can cantrip with Up the Beanstalk. A turn 1 Wayfarer's Bauble for the Orzhov player. Xiatora throwing out Traverse the Uvenwald, so searching for a basic. And still no land for us. It will have to be Up the Beanstalk because, while we can cast Elemental Bond, it will not draw us a card on entry, like Up the Beanstalk will. But at least we've got a play that we can make next turn, assuming that we hold on to the Sol Ring. Alright, and still no land, but we've cleared another card off the top at least. It's going to be one of those games. Avacyn seems to be an Angel's deck because Bishop of Wings has come into play. The Wayfarer's Bauble being cracked here from the Jund player. That is Kessig Naturalist. So see if the bad luck continues here. We've drawn enough cards to get into another land. But of course we don't, so let's go for the Elemental Bond. The mono white player just holding up 3 white mana. And more ramp in the form of Orzhov's Signet as everyone continues to set up. No spell was cast by the white player, so this is now Lord of the Uvenwald. Other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. And now it is a Kalain, so going to be abusing treasures apparently. And the Lord of the Uvenwald swings in towards us because with our one land and a Sol Ring we're apparently looking pretty scary. And just passing the turn here, you know what we all want to see off the top. But it's instead one of the most expensive cards in the deck, because of course it is, so... would have been nice to go for Roaming Throne there. It would have cantripped with the Elemental Bond. So instead I'll hold up Beast Within, probably onto my own Up the Beanstalk. Wow, you're the one who scoops while I'm sticking this out. Okay, so ban number 23 of the day. So yeah, probably on Up the Beanstalk, even though I really don't want to do that. It will hopefully draw us a card with Elemental Bond and then get us into a land. Argument to be made for us doing it during the main phase to get maybe a third land into play next turn, but it's not looking good for us, is it? And maybe we have to use Beast Within on something over here, which I can't think anything being played on our opponent's side of the field is more important than us getting into a land, but we will see. Thran Dynamo for Avacyn, so Avacyn will be down in no time, I imagine. A Sol Ring coming down for the Jund player as well. Worth noting that he tapped down his green mana to do it, so might not have green ramp spells and Beast Withins and stuff like that. Anyway, we see the Sheoldred. This is the one that flips into the True Scriptures. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacks a non-token creature or planeswalker. Thankfully for us, we can't do that, and we didn't go for the Beast Within yet, so we'll get to keep the Beast token at least. And we might be able to block one of our opponent's creatures here with the Beast token, so... see how they attack. Both of them going in at the Angel player this time. So I'll just go for the Beast Within thing now. Blow up the Beanstalk, which triggers the Elemental Bond as we wanted it to. See if we would have drawn into a land previously to play. We wouldn't have gone into a land anyway. There's a Mana Vault. So, turn 5. Still no land. So that means we have to go for the Mana Vault here. And then tap that down for mana. Means we can go for Roaming Throne. And that will enter as a Dinosaur, of course, because we're in a Dinosaur tribal deck. Draw another card to Elemental Bond. Alright, and finally, get into a Windswept Heath. Still nothing to do with the mana. Not even going to bother bluffing to my opponents, so get down a tap land here, tap out and pass. So there we see Avacyn Angel of Hope, as we were expecting. Noteworthy there is a Bonder's Enclave here as well, to draw a card. But they have 5 cards in hand at the moment. And now we get a couple of attackers swinging in towards us, and the Sheoldred has Menace, so that goes in past the Avacyn. Alright, and then deciding not to swing in against us. And now, unfortunately, seeing a Murderous Cut going onto the throne. So the Xiatora player being pretty merciless towards us there. And I don't imagine we're going to be untapping the Mana Vault anytime soon. We'll start taking a ping to that every single turn. Managing to get into another land though. I think our best means of drawing more cards at this point is the Runic Armor Source, so get that into play here. Don't know if our opponents are going to be using many activated abilities, but we'll try our luck. We do have a couple in play here. The Castle Lochthwain with only 2 cards in hand may well be activated, and there is the Bonder's Enclave here as well. Unfortunately not seeing any activated abilities because there is a Fumigate to destroy everything and gain a bunch of life. And now Spirit Link going on to the Avacyn, so we assume there's some kind of life gain sub-theme here. And you would think that commander damage would start to go onto the Zaitora player here, but we will see. Yep, swings in over there. It's noteworthy for anyone who doesn't know that this ability goes on the stack. It's not like lifelink, so if you have Spirit Link on a creature and the creature has lifelink, you'll gain double the life, one from the lifelink and one from this ability. Atali Primal Storm, seeing more dinosaurs over here than we are on our side of the field. Now, there's an argument to be made for us just putting mana into the mana vault, but if we do manage to get into another land, which we want to be making anyway, we could go for something like a Carnosaur or the Regal Behemoth, although the Behemoth encourages Avacyn over towards us. Alright, a Cultivate, I'll take that. So play the Cultivate, we'll get a basic Plains and Mountain. Actually, we've got quite a few green creatures in hand, so I'll make it a mountain and a forest. And we could hold up to Fairy's Protection here, but I think it's going to be these two battling it out. If we take a hit from Avacyn and from the Atali, then it'll feel bad not holding that up, but I'll get down Rhythm of the Wild here so that we can probably use it for haste, but maybe plus counters here and there. Noteworthy that there's a Yavimaya here fixing our green mana as well. The next angel is Victory's Herald, and when it attacks, attacking creatures gain flying and lifelink until the end of the turn, so we're about to see the Spirit Link lifelink interaction. Then going for a Search for Glory, probably for a legendary, but maybe a saga. It was a legendary, tutoring up Sarah the Benevolent, leaning heavily into the angel theme. And Atali swinging into us, can't swing in anywhere else because there's an 8/8 Avacyn in the way, so going to try and get some free stuff here. And so far we're seeing a Righteous Valkyrie, a Callous Blood Mage, and has taken from us a Topiary Stomper, finally starting to see the ramp. I mean, we've seen ramp all game, but it's just been a bit clunky on the land front. And I think our opponent drew a card here. Yeah, the graveyards are intact and there's no pests, so take our 6 damage. Zaitora hit in play now, so it's just Gishath that's missing. I'm not sure we can get through all our opponent's stuff for a Zaitora now anyway. Deciding to sacrifice the Callous Blood Mage, and the Zaitora will replace it with something else. And replacing that with some treasure tokens. Alright, so in that case, managed to get another land is good. So why don't we just see about the Trumpeting Carnosaur. We'll not be able to hold up the Teferi's Protection unfortunately, but let's aim for this. And I suppose haste isn't going to be all that useful, so plus counter on the Trumpeting Carnosaur. It's Discover 5 no matter what. So we'll go for Discovering first, see what we can get into for free. And it is a Savage Order. Huh, that's tempting. The Indestructible, we could wipe all the creatures out here with that little trick that you've probably seen on the channel once before already. Why don't we go for it? The Zaitora is going to be coming in towards us anyway. So Savage Order, sacrifice a dinosaur, search for a dinosaur and put it into play. And it gains Indestructible until the end of the turn, which is relevant when you're going for something like an Apex Altasaur that's going to deal 10 damage to things when it enters. Another thing we could do is go for Atali Primal Conqueror and try to get some decent stuff out of that. Probably a better idea. Like I said, we could wipe the Jund player's board, but I'll try and get something going here instead. Plus counter again, because I don't think the haste is relevant if we want to hold back as a blocker. This allows us to draw another card as well. Alright, so there we get into a board wipe anyway in Extinction Event. There is Angelic Field Marshal and a Thrashing Brontodon. So let's put the creatures on the stack first. And then odd or even do we want to go for? This is Exile, so this is 8 mana and that's 6 mana, so that would be even. That would get rid of Atali as well. And there's Zaitora, and it will keep Atali in play, so yeah, fine, we'll go for even. Turns out going for Atali was the right decision, and it's noteworthy that you do choose odd or even on resolution, so your opponents don't get to see before they counter it or something. We'll say even, so getting rid of a bunch of scary stuff off the board. We're managing to get our way back into this. We can't get the 3/4 through here anyway, so might as well again be a plus counter. draw a card to that entering. Draw a card to that entering with the Elemental Bond. We'll draw a card to the Angel as well. And we'll just put a plus counter there as well, because there's a 2-4 over here. It's really this player I want to be swinging in at. Draw 3 cards to the Elemental Bond. And watch us just top deck a bunch of lands now. Got into Curious Altasaur at least, which if we can swing in with a couple of dinos next turn will help. Cannot hold up the Teferi's Protection, unfortunately. Can play the Galta though, so might as well go for that. Because thankfully we managed to get into some creatures off the back of the Atali. So Galta into play, we'll cantrip. We've given it haste with the Riot. And managing to keep our hand full, getting into some ramp that we've needed all game. Colours are still a little bit backwards here, so go for a 12/12 Trampler in at the Jund player. Bruna the Fading Light, wonder if they've got the Gisela the Broken Blade in here. Probably do in an Angel deck. When you cast this spell you may return an Angel or Human from graveyard to the battlefield. Their commander is in the command zone, so I'm assuming they just top deck that, putting Bishop of Wings back into play. And then on entry gain more life from the Bishop of Wings and from the Seraph Sanctuary land. Alright, and now another board wipe in Garrick's Wake, a one-sided one, so blows up our entire board. Apart from the Atali, that is, which, does it have Indestructible throughout the entire turn cycle? Indestructible until your next turn. Wow, so Savage Order's even better than I thought it was. So that gives us a chance to transform this and maybe take out the Angel player. Alright, and both of those going in at the Angel player because he's got a higher life total. We're not going to be able to land Lethal Infect damage thanks to this having Vigilance, unfortunately. And it is risky still because our opponents do have chance to remove this after we've activated it and the abilities on the stack. Plus we're up against white, so could have Swords to Plowshares or something. So we could just be taking off an entire turn to get removal out of an opponent's hand. Alright, was considering playing Ancient Tomb here, but we've drawn into Temple of the False Gods, so get that down instead. That'll minimise the amount of life that we have to take to Atali. So we'll see if our opponent can remove it here. So put that ability on the stack. They can still wait to see who we attack if they want to. But that is allowed to turn into the Trample Indestructible 12/12 with what is effectively Infect. So go in at the left before that Avacyn comes back into play. Doesn't seem as though he's all that eager to remove it. Alright, but does have the Swords to Plowshares, was just waiting for the blocking phase. Yeah, it was a good assumption because players always scoop as soon as they're about to lose, so it was an assumption that they had the Swords to Plowshares there. Forcing them to use it isn't the worst thing. Obviously would like to have knocked that player out there. So the loose plan here will be slamming down Gishath with a plus counter and hopefully coming in over here. I'm assuming that we're going to see Avacyn again sometime soon. I'm not sure how much mana it'll be. 10 mana. They've got 3, 4, 5, 9 mana. So playing a land here will do it. Didn't manage to make a land, I don't think, so Sarah the Benevolent into play instead. And a Court of Grace here, so that will encourage this player to swing in over here to take the Monarchy. I won't feel as bad about playing the Regal Behemoth now because obviously the Monarchy has already been introduced into the game. Ticking up on the Planeswalker, and that is a 2/2 flyer. Vraska the Unseen is able to destroy a non-land permanent, and Manus is down onto the Walker, so the Angel player doing a good job distracting away from us. And the 4/4 goes in at the Angel player. Wouldn't have thought they'd tap the Righteous Valkyrie, but they are doing that. Goes in over there as well. Spirit Token jumps in the way of the Topiary Stomper. So the Monarchy obviously stolen away here. Goes to the end of the turn and draws his third card. Alright, another Dinosaur for us. That is a Wrathful Raptors. So there's an argument to be made for us not going for Gishath here and getting down some hasty Dinosaurs instead. I want to deal with that Vraska if I can. So we've got 10 mana so far, could be 11, could be 12 with the Ancient Tomb. So that means Regal Behemoth and Wrathful Raptors both have Trample. I think against my better judgment we could be playing up against more spot removal from the Jund player. But we'll go for the Gishath here, I think. So let's just go for the Ancient Tomb now. And I'll take life to the Ancient Tomb because I think I'm going to go for the Curious Altasaur here. I'll have to ignore the Vraska for now because if it just ticks up then hopefully it won't matter. If we get enough Dinosaurs into play we can still swing in it next turn. So that can be a plus counter and Elemental Bomb will draw. Takes us into Traverse the Outlands, which is risky against spot removal again. Want to have a few Dinosaurs in play preferably before we cast that. A Curious Altasaur. This will draw us a card whenever any dinosaur we control deals combat damage. So that can come in with haste. Gishath already has haste. And yeah, I want to be maximising the amount of potential dinosaurs we get. And the Jund player isn't going to interfere if we go over at the white player. The difficulty being that the white player might scoop to this, but we'll just try and get as many dinosaurs in play as we can. And both dinosaurs have vigilance, thankfully, so we can still hold them back as blockers. Alright, so hitting there, we'll put the Altasaur on the stack first so that it resolves last. And Gishath has dealt 8 damage, so reveal the top 8 cards and put all those dinosaurs into play. Always a chance that you're going to whiff on Gishath, and yeah, that's not the best. Trapjaw Tyrant and the Wayward Swordtooth. Don't think anyone's going to be swinging into us anyway, but that's what we'd have to have happen with a Trapjaw Tyrant. It's a good attacker as well because it's difficult to block. Get both of those into play, they will cantrip at least. And no point giving them haste at this point because we don't have an additional combat step. So Elemental Bond doing some work for us this game, as it tends to. Alright, there's a Grim Monolith drawn into our basics, which we don't want to see while we've got the Traverse the Outlands in play, or in our hand. A Skyshroud Claim continuing to get into the ramp. And there is a Plains. We can make an additional land this turn thanks to the Wayward Swordtooth. Always a good idea to have at least one of each of your basics in play, just in case someone does get down a Blood Moon or something. Rather not be playing against those cards, but it is Magic Online. Have to expect a bit of everything sometimes. Alright, so I think we've well and truly managed to get back into this game. We'll see what our opponents have for us. 2 cards and 3 cards in hand. Court of Grace, going to make a Spirit because he's not the Monarch. Avacyn into play after making that land he needed. Ticking up on the Vraska over here. Alright, a Damnation to get rid of our dinosaurs when there's Indestructible over here. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe he thinks that all the dinosaurs will be coming in over here if he doesn't get rid of them, so Command Zone for Gishath. Need to start holding up the Teferi's Protection, I think, although maybe it's already too late for that. Noteworthy that we could have teamed up there, used the Trapjaw Tyrant to get rid of the Avacyn. Anyway, Kogla comes into play, not much point fighting anything. Oh, alright, there's a Zakama, might as well get that in for free. Alright, between a Forest and a Yavimaya, might as well play the Yavimaya to keep it online with our Ancient Tomb in case this guy goes down. So let's float as much as we can here. So we end up gaining 3 mana here, go for the Zakama, and we'll put haste on the Zakama. Not sure what I want to do yet, but I think haste might be more useful than a plus counter with that creature. So untap all the lands we control because we did cast it. Draw a card with Elemental Bond. And it's noteworthy that with Zakama we could Lightning Bolt the Wrathful Raptors to then deal damage to anything that isn't a dinosaur. Kind of bounce that around because this is only creatures. How is this thing worded? Whenever a creature deals combat damage to it, you destroy it. So we could get rid of the Vraska in that way. Yeah, so let's try ourselves a Wrathful Raptors. And we'll give that haste as well. And again, draw a card. Alright, there's Regisaur Alpha in order to give everything haste, so maybe could have been giving plus counters. I don't think we'll get that down here anyway, though. So we'll deal 3 damage to the Wrathful Raptors, and that can get redirected to Vraska. Then it'll be 6 mana from Zakama onto this to blow it up, and then turning sideways over here, leaving us with 1, 2, 3 mana, so probably worth Skyshroud Claim then. And I'll have a look at how many basics are left while I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so it's not that worth going for Traverse the Outlands, but if we've got surplus mana we'll do it. Go for a couple of dual lands here. Then Zakama deals 3 damage to the Kogla, 3 damage to Kogla again, and that just leaves us with 1 mana held up. So we'll go over at the Jund player if he's going to continue to sabotage us. It's noteworthy that Zakama does have reach, so as long as they can't buff this, we can at least block the Avacyn indefinitely. So we've got time to come back from this, and it could be that Avacyn goes and finishes off the Jund player, although they might want to go wide on us to take the Monarchy now that we've taken that away. Anyway, Ayatora down to 4 life, and we draw a card to the Monarchy for the first time. Alright, that's a good one, an Earthshaker Dreadmaw. I'd rather it came down off the back of a Gishath, but obviously we've been pretty slow this game and there's some big creatures in the way. Not sure how useful Gishath is going to be against an Avacyn. Court of Grace makes another Spirit. Another great one, Valkyrie Harbinger. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 4 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 Angel. They don't have any decent ETBs that make a lot of life, unfortunately. And Anointed Procession going to start making twice as many tokens, so that would be an argument for them coming in at us to take the monarchy away. But if they do that, I will start dedicating Tramplers to the board and start trying to get rid of this guy before he gets too much toughness in play. He'll be able to block with Avacyn quite effectively, but I'm not sure about the other ones. He won't be able to kill off as many dinosaurs with those. We'll just have to make peace with the fact that we're going to lose a dinosaur every turn pretty much. 8-8 is going to finish off Ziatora, probably a good idea. So, down he goes, it's down to the last two. Alright, just a land off the top for us. So, drop the mountain, and I think I want to try and draw some more cards here, even if we have to hardcast the dinosaurs. So let's go for the Regisaur Alpha first, and everything's going to have haste anyway as long as that stays in place, so might as well be plus counters on all the creatures that enter. Elemental Bond continuing to do work, and Elemental Bond does trigger on the token entering as well. Alright, there's a Ravenous Tyrannosaurus Rex. When it attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to another creature. Excess damage is dealt to the controller instead, so those spirits are going to come in very handy. This is going to come in handy against big angels as well, so get that thing down. And this will come in with a plus counter, so should trigger the Elemental Bond as well, thanks to Riot, which draws us into Atali. And this means as long as we tap Ancient Tomb for 2, we can go for the Tyrannosaurus and hold up the Teferi's Protection. So yeah, let's go for that. And if we want to devour, it'll be a plus counter from the Riot, will be 7, and then 10 if we get rid of this. So devour that. And then we draw again, of course, into Return of the Wild Speaker, which is obviously card draw, so don't think our opponent's going to be able to wipe the board on us. So in that case, we'll go through to combat and try and push through as much damage as possible. Don't want to lose the flyer, it might be a good blocker, and it brings things in tapped, which obviously means that we can push more damage through. The longer the game goes on, the better it is for this player. And if they want to gang up on Zakama, then so be it, that's more damage that's going through elsewhere. So, yeah, going with these three. Tyrannosaurus deals damage to a spirit token, so that there's a lot of excess damage. So that's obviously 1 to the token, and 9 to our opponent. So they go down to 26. Not seeing a lot of love for Ravenous Tyrannosaurus, but it's a very good one for the dinosaur decks. I've looked at a few dinosaur decks just out of curiosity, and not seen this one show up too much, but I think it's really, really good. And, okay, Avacyn blocking here, I mean, that's fine with me. And then, yeah, okay, that's a better idea, is throwing the Avacyn in the way of these Akama, so ganging up on that. Just means that more damage is going through here, and, yeah, double blocking there is fine, because as much damage is dealt here, it's going to get pinged straight back at this player, so, yeah, that's fine. As long as we can keep hold of haste, we might be able to keep going here. And again, there's an argument to be made for us going for Teferi's Protection there, but I want the damage dealt to the Wrathful Raptors so that we can point it at our opponent, even if it does mean that it dies. So our opponent goes plummeting down to 6, should be able to go wide, 0 cards in hand here. I mean, the Tyrannosaurus alone should be able to do it. And yeah, didn't account for the lifelink from the Valkyrie Harbinger, so did gain some life there. Will make an angel, a couple of angels actually, thanks to the Anointed Procession. But as long as those spirits stay in play and we keep the Tyrannosaurus, I'm hoping we'll be able to squeak out a victory. Seraph Sanctuary going to gain life. The least amount of life gain we can see, the better. And the Monarch is going to draw us another card. Won't be able to deal lifelink damage to us because we do have the Teferi's Protection, which will have us phase out. And here we'll just get rid of a couple of lands. Don't think we're going to be able to use Boseiju on any of our opponent's stuff anyway. Court of Grace will bring a spirit into play because they haven't managed to take the monarchy away from us yet. And they won't do during this turn either. They need to gain life, really. 1 card in hand. It was a land, so they show us that straight away. Bonder's Enclave will have them not lose life. There's another card to this effect that will have you lose life equal to the colours you control, I think. But yeah, it seems as though we've got our opponent here, thanks to Tyrannosaurus Rex. Might as well swing in with Avacyn. They probably should swing in with the lifelinker as well. Going in with the tokens. These do have vigilance. And we're not going to be taking any damage here. They're not swinging in with the lifelinker anyway. Held on to Teferi's Protection all game, and here it's going to save us a nice chunk of life. Would have been down to 10 here, which wouldn't have got us, but have seen a few board wipes where we could have been saved by the Teferi's protection. Doesn't matter if we end up winning in the end. And this way our opponent doesn't take the monarchy and draw into another card that could hurt us. So just reliant on Bonder's Enclave to get rid of the Tyrannosaurus, as far as I can tell. We'll play it out anyway, because our opponent might be able to get lucky off the top. So drop a land, drew into a land this turn. And we play ourselves an Atali, Primal Storm. And want to draw more cards with the Return of the Wild Speaker, but we can draw them with Earthshaker. Plus counter on everything again, thanks to the Reggie. Draw a card again with Elemental Bond. Yeah, we can draw cards with the Earthshaker, so we can use this as an overrun effect, one of those rare occasions. And obviously that will buff this further, so hopefully won't be able to do anything here. Maybe holding on to the Farewell would be a clever idea. It's more fun to go for the Earthshaker, let's just do that. I don't think our opponent will be able to get us next turn. And if he does, then we made the more fun play. Don't mind going out to that. That will counter it with the Elemental Bond, and it will draw us 5 cards thanks to controlling 5 dinosaurs. Alright, gets into another board wipe in the form of Blasphemous Act, which might have been helpful if the Wrathful Raptors was still in play. As a Talpa against the Avacyn would have been a nice means of holding back a lot of damage as well. Adding Trample to everything with Garruk's Uprising is good as well. We don't have all that many Tramplers in play, so I'm not sure about Overrun with Return of the Wild Speaker. I think we just have to hope that we keep this in play. I mean, our opponent will really have to believe in the heart of the cards here. And if we feel as though we're going to take a big hit next turn, we'll just go for the Farewell. We've still got it held up. So we'll swing in with Atali and with the Tyrannosaurus. And again, it's damage onto a Spirit token. And there we see the Apex Altasaur. And an Archangel of Thune, thanks to the Atali. So we'll just cast both of those quickly. Not going to bother fighting anything with the Apex Altasaur because it all has Indestructible. So I'll draw a couple more cards. The Tyrannosaurus going to deal its damage apparently. And yeah, we do have it there. Appreciate my opponent playing that out. The other opponent played it out as well, the Zayatora player, so appreciate that as well. And also appreciate the patrons for supporting monetarily. Hope you all enjoyed it. Played this revision of Gishath a few weeks ago, and some of you said you wanted to see it in multiplayer, so hopefully you all showed up. And hopefully you all had a good Christmas and New Year as well. You'll be seeing this after the fact. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.